So I was hacked. My website was hacked. I had people getting in touch with me a few days ago saying, David, your website's been hacked again. A couple of times over the last 6 months or so that's happened. But it was a bit of a funny one because when I looked myself, I couldn't tell that it had been hacked. Yet my friends, my colleagues insisted that when they visited my website, it was being redirected somewhere else entirely. So what I want to show here is what's actually happened, why it was difficult for me to tell that my own website had been hacked, yet other people were able to tell very easily. So, first things first, let us do what I do when I visit my website. I just type in the URL, davidmcclelland.co.uk. And what we see here is my website, for better or for worse. It is a WordPress website with a fairly old theme, to be honest with you. Serves its purpose very well. My WordPress install is up to date in terms of security patches. So, where's the problem? My website looks fine as far as I'm concerned. But I've gone in through a search engine, they say. Okay, interesting. So, let's open up another tab and go to www.bing.com. The reason I'm choosing Bing first will become clear in a minute. And this time do a search for me. There we go. So, right at the top of the list, David McClelland, official site. Here we go. In the status bar, it's looking to send me to davidmcclelland.co.uk. However, what's all this about? Los zapatos de la marca americana Timberland están pensados para que... or whatever. That certainly isn't something to do with my website. So, click on that. And all of a sudden, I see what people who were visiting my website were seeing, which certainly isn't my website. Having a look at the code for this. If it'll load up. Here we go. Yeah, this is an entirely different website on an entirely different domain. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's go to another search engine provider instead. Let's go to Yahoo. Remember them? So, up here, alongside the obligatory Donald Trump story about hacking, funnily enough. Must learn to spell technology one day. There we go. So, up here, we've got David McClelland official site. Again, it's looking like there's been some hacking going on. Click on him, and once again, don't need to go too far to see timberlandzone.com. What's interesting, though, is it's got some pages on my site also indexed as Yahoo here. If I click on this, you can see it's looking to send me to this About page. And this time, when I go to davidmcclelland.co.uk/about, it does go to my proper website. So, hello, I'm David McClelland. Yeah, right, go away. So, there's something a bit weird. When I go to the root of my site, I get redirected to that Timberland domain. However, when I go to a sub-page within the site, then that's not redirecting me. That's all a little bit weird. And obviously when I go directly to my domain, final one, it's the reason I've been saving Bing till last. Sorry, Google until last. Now, Google did something when it spotted that my website had been hacked, and it blacklisted my website from its results, which is, as annoying as it is, it's actually pretty damn good of it. So I type in David McClelland here, and there's nothing. There's my Twitter on there, which is fine. You've actually got to go quite a long way down before you get to anything that looks like it's my website. I can assure you that I certainly was up there a little while ago. If I narrow it down a little bit, get away from David C. McClelland, then once again, we do start to see some stuff from my site. However, they're pages within my site. So we've got the About, we've got a tag. Let's just click on the About. And the same as when I went from Yahoo, it does indeed go to my website. But there's no way of Google letting me go directly to the root of my website. And the reason for that is that it spotted that it was hacked a little while ago, or whenever we all spotted that this thing had happened. So I did take a screenshot of what that actually looked like. Let me just open that up a second. Bear with me. So, the big question is, what on earth is going on here? What I did was I opened up an FTP client to take a look at my website. Wordpress is the content management system that I use for my websites. It's very popular all over the internet. And when you visit a website, there's an index page, the first page that gets loaded. And on my website, it is index.php. It might be index.html, depends upon how your web server's set up. So what I do is I take a look at it and go, right, is there anything naughty in here which, were this to be opened on a viewer's browser, would redirect it to that Timberland shop? Nothing obvious here so far. All this is essentially doing is it's saying, right, open up wp blog header.php. Okay, so let's find that. wp blog header.php. There we go. Notice here the update date on here, 12th of June 2012. We're now in, well, 2017. So this file in theory hasn't been modified in a good few years. Let's open it up and have a look. And whoa, here we go. This is wp blog header.php. But in here, there is some code that I do not want to be seeing on my site, including this. Location, http / www.timberlandzone.com, blah, blah. That is the domain that my website, that visitors to my website that were referred to from Google, Bing, Yahoo. This is the domain that they're being redirected to. This is the dodgy code. Now, it's interesting what it's doing. It is getting information about the visitor to the website. It's getting some HTTP user agent info. And whenever you visit a website, information about where you're coming from, what kind of web browser you're using, which website has directed you, so on and so forth, that all gets volunteered to the web server that's serving you that information. What it's doing here is it's saying, right, where have you come from? Who referred you to me? And you see here, it's searching for Google, Yahoo, or Bing. Here's the key bit of code. If getReferrer, it's a function, true or false. So if you've come from Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and the request URI, so the URL, the web address that you were requesting is just that /, so the root directory, so davidmcclellan.co.uk, not / about or whatever else, then header, location, essentially redirect to that domain. This is the dodgy code, and that explains why when I visited my website directly, I did not get redirected. I wasn't a victim in that case of this attack. However, when other people who just typed my name into Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever, when they visited my website, they did get redirected. And of course, I'm very unlikely to Google or Bing my own name to check whether my website's up. Until now, that is. So it's quite clever in that regard. And the code's doing some other stuff down here, which I am not entirely sure what it's doing, to be honest with you. Get URL content, but robots, it might be... to be honest with you, I don't know. If you know a little bit more about what this bit of code is doing, then do let me know. It could be that that's changing the meta information that was being listed, that Spanish stuff. Anyway, so that's a pain. What do? I go back to a backup. So first of all, wp blog header.php. Let's just call that hacked 2017-03-04, which is today's date. So now there is no file at the moment, wp blog header.php. There we are. So if I try and visit my website now, it's complaining that that file doesn't exist. So just to prove that what I'm doing is actually making a difference on my site. David McClelland Tech. Yay, I spelled it right first time. So here, yeah, so that's all broken at the moment, as I expect it would be. And then I go to my backup version. Here we go. So this was just before when everything seemed to go wrong. This is the last version that was updated. Okay, so we've renamed. So we have a new WP blog header.php in here. So in theory, if I tap on refresh, my website comes back. So my website is back up and running. But what I want to do is to make sure that Bing is redirecting, because this is essentially what the hack is. So now when I click on here, again, we've still got all of this rubbish here. That's going to take a little bit longer to refresh. But certainly here, we're back up and running. I'm not getting redirected. A little bit naughty, but there we go. So how did this happen in the first place? Don't really know. As far as I'm aware, my WordPress on my website is up to date. It's got the latest security patches on there, which is why I had a backup from the last time that stuff was updated. Let's actually have a quick look at the WP blog header to see what it should look like. You'll see it looks very different. It's a lot shorter. All it basically does is load some functions and then loads the template loader. That's all it's doing. Very, very simple. Certainly doesn't need to be 2004 bytes in size, just 364. So, like I say, my WordPress install is up to date as far as I'm aware. The bit that I'm not so sure about is the plugins. Now, I did install some plugins at the time when I last updated my website. Did the security patch upgrade, and it may well be that there's a malicious plugin that's crept in somewhere, or a plugin that has a vulnerability which has in turn been exploited. So I've done a spring clean. I've disabled all the plugins that I installed back in February, and what else I should do at this point is to have a look through the rest of my website. I won't do that manually. I will probably open a terminal window onto my website and use the grep command to do a global search through for some terms that I saw in that dodgy version of the file. Another thing that I should mention as well, this video was really useful and may well still be useful. This is a video by a guy called Alan Underwood. There he is. Hi, Alan. And he actually published this video back on the 30th of October 2011. And WordPress site hacked, redirecting to another site. Now, this guy actually has a different problem to the one that I had, where visitors to his site were still being redirected, but looking through his code, he couldn't see anything that was obviously doing it. And that's because the hackers had obfuscated, they'd hidden their code. Using this base64 decode, basically the code had been turned into a load of gobbledygook, which made it very difficult to search through and understand where the vulnerability had been put into his site. So what he did instead, really good idea, is to do a grep across his whole site looking for base64 decode, and anything which looked like a substantial chunk of code that was inside this, he investigated further, and that's how he found that his website had been hacked. I'll have a look through to make sure that there are no other files in my website that have also been hacked, because if I were a hacker, that's something I would consider doing. I would check to see whether the main file that I had compromised, whether that had been put back to normal, and then I would reinfect it again, maybe check every hour or something like that, or check more aggressively than that. So I need to make sure there's nothing else hanging around which is messing up my site. Anyway, if you know any more about this than I do, I'm making this up as I go along. It all makes sense to me so far, but there may be more to it. Then do let me know. Do let me know in the comments below. Be useful for anyone else who's having this problem as well. And if there's more to it, then hey, I'll make another video and I'll share whatever it is that we're learning about this. Thank you very much for watching. Do pop any questions to me, any tips as well, things that maybe I've missed out on, because it'd be useful for anyone else who's watching it. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.